today. What's up, dude? What's going on?
Everything has been great. How about yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's hot. Weather's been pretty terrible around here lately, so I'm just trying to survive.
Yeah, and the weather's hot and things are also hot. I guess had a long day so far, so trying to just throw a couple hours
Yeah.
and do a bunch of things. But yeah, dude, it's been great. Another day. I'm so good to see you, and I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. And thank you so much for hopping on. I know busy day in the car driving around, but you're a busy man. You got a lot of things going on. So before we
Absolutely.
dive into too much, would you care to share a little bit about yourself and who you are and who you help kind of thing?
Sure. So my name is Jithu Sajeevan. I own a chess company. We teach chess to a lot of kids in Fairford County. What we do is we offer group practices, private lessons, and we bring them to tournaments on the weekend basis. And yeah, we have four locations: Fairfield, Weston, Wilton, Greenwich, and we have a little over 2,000 kids that does stuff with us weekly. And yeah, that's my main thing. And I'm also a real estate agent, and I help a lot of families out with their investments or buying houses. And I also invest myself, buy properties rented out. So huge fan of real estate and chess. That's all me.
So I'm gonna ask you right off the bat, which child of yours do you like more, chess or real estate? Which one's your favorite?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say chess, to be honest, because chess is what like changed my life in so many different ways. So chess is always it's the one that I feel like I need to take care of first. And real estate is what chess is something that I feel like I need to do. That's like my mission of my life to spread chess. And real estate is more like something that I think like the fuel that I need
Mhm.
to reach more people and also something I'm really and also build wealth. Or I mean, my whole point of real estate is to build wealth. Like I help people out buy properties, but I also any money I get from real estate straight go back to buying my own properties. So real estate is something that I need for my financial gains, and chess is something I feel like that's my mission.
Mhm.
That's what I need to, I guess, prove. Like chess could be a thing that, we're trying to make chess one of the sports that people think of, like that people watch all the time, and kind of like NFLs or football, basketball game, whatever it is. So that's I think chess for sure is my main one.
Love that, dude. So, mind sharing a little bit about how you first got started with chess and kind of the story about everything?
Absolutely. So I was grew up in India. I came to this country like 8 years ago about. So I started playing chess. Uh, I was I did never want to learn chess. I thought it was something that I never want to be part of because it was never considered to be like a popular thing, and I like to do popular things in my school. So right around fifth grade, I was a kid. I was kind of getting in trouble for a lot of but not a bad thing, but like I was getting into like fights and he's bullying and just I wasn't on the right path. Part of it being like I was raised by a single mom. My dad was in the picture, but he was in America, just trying to get us going with our family. So my mom always wanted me to do something that I guess I was focused on, and I was never really focused. So she pushed me to really. I remember the day I went to this in fifth grade. I was crying all the way on the way to my this chess club, and I did not want to do it. But the second I reached there, I was all amazed by everything. Basically, the teacher was amazing. The kids, we had a lot of kids that day. I remember like it was a free program, so you know how that goes. Every time there's a free program, a lot of kids show up the first time, but then it slow
Mhm.
start going down. So it was a lot of kids. Like there was 30, probably 35 kids in the room. But what I was really amazed about was like the pieces. Like that was the first time I ever paid attention to chess pieces, and I love how they all move in their own ways, like they have their own destiny, and that really inspired me. And I kept going back, and the numbers in the class are going down. I know, like after a year, I think it was just me that's still going to that club, but that's how I picked it up. I learned so much from that one teacher, and I stopped playing in tournaments soon, and yeah, man. I mean, I kept playing, and even when I came here, I was very competitive. I was traveling quite a bit, like going to Vegas and other places to play chess tournaments. And that was my life. So yeah, dude, I came here 8 years ago. I didn't speak the language at all, and so that was a big language barrier. So like I didn't know anybody, didn't know nobody really want to hang out with me, especially if I don't speak the language. So chess was the only thing that was keeping me going because schools were rough the first 2 years. Just not like this the academic wise. It's just more like the social aspect. But having that chess tournament on the weekends was like I was motivated to go to that because my mom was this thing I have to keep doing well in school to go to tournaments, and I took tournaments so seriously, like I wouldn't want to miss any of that. So yeah, no, I was so chess. Yeah, then I kept going. I'm part of COVID. I was state champion in high school, 1 or 2 times for Connecticut. Then yeah, then
Congrats on
COVID
that.
happened.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Then yeah, COVID happened. Couldn't do it anymore. Anymore chess tournaments got shut down, and I always had this thing about for coaching because I never had a coach in my life. Could never afford one, but I was always passionate. Like when I go to tournaments, like coaches in between rounds kind of give tips or go over the games, and I always watch them. Like, what are they telling them? Because I kind of want to learn those
Hmm.
strategies, but I never. So I wanted to try out the coaching aspect. So I tried out with a couple of my neighbors. It was awesome. I found out I had a passion for teaching. I think the passion was mostly that I felt I wasn't improving as fast as my other people in my level because I don't have a coach, right? And of course that makes a difference. So I didn't. I think my passion for teaching was because I don't want to feel another kid go through the same way. Like now I feel like they're not improving or not having enough opportunity because I don't have a coach. So I was like, I want to be that coach. So that was my passion. Talk a couple of neighbors, was doing really well. I was getting more and more neighbors that want to do chess with me. Then I found this guy who his name is Dan Pelletier. He runs this company where he does like soccer and chess, and you know I just really like the way he was doing his running his company. He was so passionate about teaching, and he was not a good chess player. The thing that drove me crazy was I always thought for you to be a coach, you need to be a really good player. Like you need to be like a very good player to
So he
be even start
sucked.
coaching. To be honest, so yeah, I could like I'm telling you, he's not good at all. I could probably beat him with my eyes closed. And I'm here
Hopefully he's
thinking
not
like,
listening today.
how is he running a whole business? At that point, I didn't know anything about business or
Mhm.
like teaching, and I'm like, I was so inspired. So I joined his company, and I was all about it. I love his energy. So I started building the business with them, and we really grew. We expanded a lot. We had a lot of kids through COVID, and as the company grew, I also grew with the company. So I was a coach, just doing 1 to 2 hours a lesson. Then I got moved to like a coach that specializes in advanced kids, and then head coach, then like his assistant, then director, then finally co-owner. So now I'm co-owner with him, this company. So
Nice.
all the progression, and it's all because of chess.
And that was
But
only in
yeah,
a few years, right? That was pretty quick
3 year,
progression.
3 years, yeah, 3 years. But I was all about it. This is what I did. I was like, I think that's another good thing about startups, where like I think startups have a lot of potential. If I were to
Hmm.
start over again, I will definitely go with a startup than a big company because big company always there's so much they can grow, but a startup has unlimited potential, you
Hmm.
know. And it's like you because every day, like I remember like every single day, probably 7, 8, 9. I don't even keep track of hours because I was never for the money. That's another thing. I think I did not keep track of my hours. Most of the stuff I was doing in the beginning was completely volunteer basis.
Hmm.
Um, so I did not care what I was putting into. I just cared about one thing. I want to expand this, and he did too. We want to expand it together. So, so I think that part of me, like the pushing every night, even staying up night, reaching out to libraries, reaching out to organization, doing all these events. I did so many events. Like I can't even count any number of tournaments, going to people's houses, passing out flyers. Like of course really grew, and anybody with the right mindset will reward you for the work, right? So
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that really helped, and we're in a really good position now to
So,
keep going.
so let me ask you, when you first started out, you had mentioned that you were intrigued with the pieces and how the pieces moved, and you liked the social aspect of it. But when you first started, was it something where it just like kind of clicked and you were like, damn, I'm good at this? Or was it like, did you have to like kind of get better at it and learn more and more? Or explain to me about
Yeah,
that.
I know. It's a great question. No, I was not that. I definitely had a talent, but I wasn't, that great. I was. I mean, when I started off, I was losing more games than I was winning for sure.
Mm.
But what I really like about chess is there's just so many combinations, so many strategies, and it's so like I think this chess is literally life. Like there's so many ways you can relate to life. Like there's different stages of chess, and there's like my favorite piece is pawn. I like the pawn, even though pawn is the weakest piece. I consider it my favorite because pawn is the only piece that starts to be the weakest piece, but has potential to turn into the most powerful piece. By if you get the pawn to the other side of the board, it will turn into a queen, which is the most
I,
powerful piece. So in my head, I'm like, wow. So if I do the right things in my life, with the right people around me, because pawn can never do by himself. He need people, other pawns or queens supporting him. If
mhm.
I'm in my head, I'm like, all right, if I do the right things and I have the right people around me, maybe I have a shot of being successful. So that's what a pawn is, right? So everything I could probably tell you a story about each piece in some way or another. So that's why I think really intrigued me. Like there's so many ways, and every day I'm like connected with life and chess, and I tell my kids all the time. So I think that's what I really like, and I can relate to a lot of things.
Damn, man. I
Which
really
was
love that what you said about the pawn and the potential and everything.
Yep.
And dude, that's just inspiring. And so, do you see a lot of things when you're going through life? Do you just relate everything back to chess? Are you just like a total chess minded person right now with everything?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Everything. Because chess is something I know, and I
Hmm.
know because I played so many games where I'm like completely losing, and I felt like
Hmm.
there was no way out at all. Like everything was blocking to getting checkmated, but then I found some way to like get out of it and sometimes win. So like when I'm like everybody had their rock bottom moments. I'm like the chess thing. Keep going to my head. I'm like, oh, remember this position I had with this guy I was playing, where I had like no. It seems like I had no option to get out of this checkmate, but I just waited patiently, and something came along the way, and I found a way to get out of it. So that was like because for me, like when I was in India, we had a very rough life. I mean, it's not anything special. I mean, anybody else that lived in a third world country tell you it's not. It's so different from living here, And I think
Hmm.
anybody that lived in a different country and coming here will appreciate this country a lot more than people live here because they've been through a lot more. They've seen
Hmm.
like because if you grew up here, you don't know what it's not like to have all these things, right? But if you live in a
Yeah.
different country, seeing that, like, oh, I know what it's like to not have food. I know like how I know the feeling of not having electricity 4 times a week, and just like we use this paper, like newspaper, and we do this to get some air and like not be hot. I get so good at it. That's just like that's how we keep ourselves cool, so I know those stuff and yeah, and that's what I really like about chess. Sometimes you go through some really hard time, and for me, because I know I've been through a kind of the hard time on the chessboard. Now, maybe not in real life, and I know I found a way out. So that really inspires me a lot to keep going and find ways.
So, do you consistently practice? Because it sounds like you're talking about gratitude right now, with about the rough times, and now looking at the at life now here. Do you
Yep.
practice gratitude often, or at all, or is it just something that's kind of on top of your head? Like, yeah, I came from here, and now I'm in a better place, and you relate just to everything. Or can you
Yeah, I
explain to me
actually
a
have
little bit?
this. Yeah, so gratitude wise, I actually do have this journal book that
Oh, nice.
I write down every. So actually the first thing this journal will ask me is like I have it right in front of me. It's like write down 3 things you're grateful for. And
Hmm.
today I wrote down, I said real estate, chess, and my mom. So I write down some stuff that come to my head every morning. So I have this whole routine that I do, that I just I just write down things, especially in the morning, just to get the day started the right way. So yeah, I do those gratitude stuffs, just to
I
remind myself. Yep.
I do something very similar where I try to write down three things each morning. But I find myself often repeating the same similar things, but I try to put a little bit of twist on it. Do you run
Yeah,
into that? Do you feel like you're always saying chess, your mom,
yeah,
and what the other thing was? Real estate?
I do. Yeah, I think like I mean, I do write the same things down. But I try to like maybe like what about chess you're grateful for, right? I mean, what
Mm,
about like for you maybe your fitness or like what's I'm sure you have so many reasons, not just one. So I kind of like I don't write it down, but I try to think about different reasons
mm,
within that one major thing, and
yeah.
yeah, it just helped me get my day started the right way. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Maybe it's not that hard. Maybe I can find a way to get out of this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, so I've heard you talk about gratitude a little bit here just a second
Hmm.
ago. I've heard you talking a lot about people, social aspect, a little bit about mentoring with the teacher that you had back then.
Hmm.
What else keeps you going at the top of the game? What keeps you becoming successful and setting new records? Because I feel like you just had a huge accomplishment just recently, right? With
I
the
did.
house
I
for your
did.
parents.
I did. Yes, my family.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, my family, 100%, and we're a small family. Like it's just me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. We don't really have anybody else here, so it's just us four. So for me, family is very important. Um, Partly, I mean, always been because when I was in India, I was kind of the head of the household because I was the only man because it was just my
Mhm.
mom and my sister and my grandma.
Your dad
So
was here, right?
my dad was here. He would come home like once a year, but like he was just working really hard to try to provide us the financial
Was he
stability.
always here from basically from when you were born, or how did that kind of happen?
So no, he is no he's Indian, so he's from India. It was he left India when he was like late 20s, and this is a very common thing. You leave India just to go to another country, and the other countries have more opportunities. So for work, so he left India like early 2000. CV just turned on. And he went to Dubai, Middle East first, and that's where he
Mm,
was, Middle East and Abu Dhabi, and then my dad's brother came here first, and then my dad's
mm,
brother brought our grandma, then my grandma brought my dad, and then he was there. But yeah, he was there. He was starting early 2000. He was in America,
mm.
um, working, but he'll come home like once or twice a year, but then he'll go back and work again.
So you were essentially the man of the household pretty much since you were born, basically, with the exception
Yeah,
of every once or twice a year.
basically, and that teaches me. I wouldn't consider it to be a bad thing. I think it taught me a lot of leadership
Yeah.
and responsibility. I think I was definitely mature for my age from earlier on, and yeah. Now I was our sister. My sister is 7 years younger than me, so for her, like I was the one that did a lot of her, I guess, a dad thing, helping out with homework or like bring her to school with my mom, like
Mm,
so. So for me, that was yeah, it was very important. So I was always connected to my family a lot, and we always do things with my family. So yeah, my family is very important. So and it was always been my dream to buy them a home, and I was able to do that 2 weeks ago. I bought them a house, a nice house that they're gonna live because we always live in like some bedrooms, small. Like at some point we lived like a studio with like four of us. So like it was very very felt very very good
yeah,
to do that to my
I seen the video on
uh,
Instagram. It's a great place, man. Congrats.
yeah, thank you. And yeah, that's so my family is definitely one thing that keep me going. I think we went through a lot. I'm sure everybody does, and everybody wants what's best for their family, right? So but I'm
Yeah.
definitely 100% family motivates me, but I'm also very connected to them. So I want the best for them. Um,
Mhm.
so yes, family is 100% one of my main things to me going.
So you've got a lot of things that you're juggling. You've got the chess world, you've got real estate world, you've got
Hmm.
just your family too. What are
Yep.
you reading and watching, consuming? How do you stay at the top in chess? And how do you stay at the top in real estate? Because you got a lot of different things you're juggling. How do you make sure that you're still doing the best that you can in those things?
Yeah, no, 100%. So one thing I do, I try to connect them all together if I can. I mean, I know it's totally different industry, but here's what I do. Funny, a lot of my real estate clients are my chess clients because
Oh.
I really believe like if they did business with you once and they trust you, they will do it again, maybe in a different field. So funny enough,
Mhm.
90% of my clients are my chess clients. So I only became an agent like 8 7 months ago, and I was able to do like 6 transactions. And I know for some a lot of agents don't do any transaction for until like the year 2 or year 3 sometimes. I was able to do that because not because I'm anything special. It's because I already did the work, the lead generation or
Mhm.
building relationship in the chess business, right? I mean, like some of these parents, like I'm always talking to parents about just my parents about something. Like, you know what's crazy? Like, I would even call them to say the good things and the bad things, right? Like, I'll call them and tell them, "Hey, did you know Harrison today actually helped me clean the room, and he was so nice. He kept the kids quiet while I was gone." Like, I tell them everything, like
Ooh,
even for a small thing. And I also tell them like when they misbehave too. Like I always call them and tell them right away. But especially when it's a good thing. If, for example, I had a couple of kids who were like nationally ranked in the nation. I was the first one to tell them before they even knew about it. And I got them a whole video. I made them content, and I got a couple the news channels to do all the stuff for them. So I'm always doing
that's
something for
awesome.
these kids. And like if that's like I always do party, I also go to stuff with them. Like I was playing tennis with one of my students the other day. I always play tennis with them, and now I go to their games or like whatever birthday parties. Um, so I already did all the legwork of building relationship and like all that in my chess business. So I didn't have to do that
Mhm.
for real estate because all I had to do is tell them, hey, I'm a real estate agent. If you know anybody like looking to sell or buy a home, just let me know, right? So for me, I don't even do that a lot of the work that a real estate agent have to do in the beginning to build a relationship and all that. I just use my chess client. But if you're new to real estate, I think you have to do that, build that relationship. And I think the first year of any business, I think it's like really building the relationship
Yeah.
and like and even if you don't get any business, you never know. I think in many fields, you never know when they're gonna call, when they're gonna tell you about you to another person and check in with them. But yeah, the way I balance, I try to connect them together, and
Mhm.
I mean, I think having a good schedule, like I know in the mornings, when I do my morning routine, and then I do the chess work, like 9 to 12, and 12 to 3 is my real estate work,
Mhm.
calling or showing houses. Then 3 to 6 is my still
So, what
I
does your
teach in
morning
the
routine
afternoon.
look like?
So I have a few things that I want to get done every morning right here. So I want to beat the sun, um, work
Nice.
out, read, chess, and write down my goals. 5 things. So yeah, wake up, gym, read, chess, and goals. So I want to wake up early because I feel like when I wake up early, I already have a good start. I'm ahead of the game, and work out,
Mhm.
for physical. Like I think it keeps me going, and I read for knowledge, and chess is my mental training. So workout is my physical training, and chess is my mental training. I think practicing
Oh, I
chess,
love that.
like I like learning, and it also helped me with my game, but it also like gave us. And then I write down my goals, so I get those done, and then I don't really do check my phone much, or do anything else until I get those done. Then I'll go to work.
Hmm. So, let me ask you, what time do you wake up in the morning?
I wake up about 5:15 a.m. Five
Ah,
fifteen, 5 o'clock. Yeah, try
not too
to. Yeah.
bad. Not too bad.
I know you do a lot earlier than me, but that's what I try
Yeah,
to go for.
some days. Not every day.
I know.
3:50 is
Uh,
my new typical wake up time, but that's just me. So
3:50? That's
yeah,
crazy, dude. It's
first client's
insane.
at
I know
5,
you.
so I got to make sure I'm awake, and I have to make sure my morning routine is also done. But I love that you
Right.
had said that you like to get your physical workout in and your mental workout in too. That's crucial, and then also your goals. I pretty much do the same exact thing as you, except the
Yep.
physical routine, the physical training, I don't get done until later in the day. Um,
Right.
But I want to ask you this
That's
question.
awesome.
So I can clearly tell that you're really passionate about coaching. You said it, you are. And do you think that like, where do you think that came from? Do you think that came from helping your younger sister
Passion for
in an
coaching.
earlier age?
Yeah, I think the sister definitely played a role, and I think it's for me. I think it's just to, like I was telling you earlier about the chess, right? I didn't have a coach. Um,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to. Look, there's a couple of reasons I think I'll think about it. Number one, I I don't want people to feel like, because you could, if you don't get the right coaching, I think it's hard to be in the right direction, right? Like
Yeah.
especially if you're doing something that a lot of people haven't done before. Something like the first one to go to college, the first one like whatever and everything. So for me, I know I had people that I surround myself with to make sure I'm in a different mindset. Like for example, I'm from Bristol, Connecticut, and now I live in Weston or Stanford, one of these areas. Living in Bristol has a total different mindset than living in Weston or Stanford, and
Hmm.
I could tell you that because Weston and Bristol is like a middle class town, and Weston and Stanford, they're all upper, the wealthy areas, and I could tell they don't think the same with anything. Like people in Bristol are trying to get things for free, and people in Weston and these areas are trying to buy time. Like they will pay so they can get some time, and they
Yeah.
will invest money. They will invest. Like people in Bristol, like you will never see them investing in stuff. So that's a
Hmm.
huge difference. And they're like only 1 hour away, and for so like I see that all the time, and I think having that right mind. So for me, coaching for me is like I want to guide people in the right direction where they want to go,
Hmm.
right? And like not it's not about being saving that $5 by just getting that coupon from whatever magazine book you got, right? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Everything's good.
Oh, shit. My AirPods got disconnected. 1 second, Rob. I gotta connect my AirPods.
Sure. Of course. Take your
All
time.
right, back on. My phone just went off and connected my phone. But anyways, well, yeah, I was saying I think number one is I want to guide people in the right direction. Because if you don't have it, I think you're you might be in the wrong direction. And number
Yeah.
two, it just feels good to be honest with you, dude. I mean, I think it feels really good when you're a kid is doing phenomenal. The parents are happy because you changed their life, or like I get this a lot of parents text me all the time saying that, hey, thank you so much for doing that. You changed my kid's life. You show them the right way of doing it. Because I don't just teach them chess, but I use chess like I was telling you about the pawn, right? About the life, how you can promote.
Hmm.
I do that a lot with the kids. I compare what are they doing? They're doing soccer, football, whatever it is, to chess. So I use chess
Hmm.
as a tool to teach them a lot of the skills they need to know, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm big on sportsmanship, and like I make all my kids shake their hand before the game and after. Even if they lose, they have to shake their hands, right? Even if
Hmm.
it was a game that you lost, even if they were mean to you, you still got to shake your hands, right? So teaching them stuff like that, and also like never afraid to ask questions, like and behaving, and like so like all these I I think I just I love when I see the result, and it feels really good. Like I mean, I don't think the happiest I've been is when I get a testimony from parents saying that, hey, you made a difference. It's not about like when I do a real estate transaction, or like I did this when I really help somebody. That's when I feel
Yeah.
really
It
good.
really actually like literally fulfills you, makes you feel good, and
Yep,
it's incredible when
hundred
parents come
percent,
to you, and it's great when kids and they talk about it, and then they talk about how great the work that you're doing and makes you feel good. But it's another thing too when in third party the parents, a friend of one of the kids or somebody else says like, oh, so and so is doing great. It just takes it to like another level. And
100%.
um,
Totally agree.
uh, so I want to circle back to, you said that you also do you do reading every morning. What kind of books are you reading in the morning? Is it like nonfiction type stuff, or like what are you reading right now if you were to pull it out?
Yeah, so I have yeah, there's a couple books right now I read this I'm finishing up this book about millionaire in how to be a millionaire as a real estate agent book by
Hmm.
Gary Keller, and it just talks about the things you got to do as a real estate, but he also talks a lot about mindset, like what you should be doing, and like there's things that I really like. For example, in that book, they talks about 8x8 touch. So when you meet somebody, you had to touch them, like be in touch with them for like the next 8 days for them to remember you. That could be
Ah.
simple thing as a text, or sending them like something that you guys share in common, right? So like or calling them. Like for me, this is what I do for one of the people. Like I met somebody the other day. I had a brief conversation, but I called them the next day. So my first touch. And then the very next day, I followed them on Instagram. Then the third day, I followed them add them on Facebook. Fourth day, I just sent them some random things on the text message that I thought they would enjoy. Then I'll send them like, an email about something about real estate or something about real estate, and then I text them again. So I do like this 8x8 touch, and I think so. I think that's very cool. So like you do that just so they remember you. I mean, if you met somebody new, there's a good chance that you will forget them unless you reach back to them again. So like if
Hmm.
you do that 8 times, even if it's over like a week or two, it will really store them. Like it's like going from short-term memory to long-term, right? Like if they just met
Yeah.
you, they're gonna forget you. But if you do it again, do it in the short period of time, they'll remember you. So that's a book that I'm reading right now. Trying to like, that's a really good book. But I also read like I'm a
Hmm.
big fan of Grant Cardone. Like I have 10x rule book, which I read like it's my fourth time reading it. Um, so yeah, there's some books I just keep reading. Um, yeah, and
Nice,
I
man.
listen to a
Yeah,
bunch of podcasts too.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
podcasts are great. There's I used to be really deep into the podcast, but I'm currently taking a little bit of an input break. I was going
Hmm.
through a period where I was just like consuming so much content where it was kind of over flooding my whole thought process because I would listen to
Right.
something and I'd get excited to implement something, and then I'd listen to something new and then I would change path and I'd get distracted and I would kind of lose myself
Hmm.
in the journey just because of so much different stimulus and input that I was getting.
Right.
So that's perfect because I want to kind of ask you, like, how do you keep yourself on track with everything? Like how do you
Yeah.
keep like what are you working on now, and how do you make sure that you're
Hmm.
moving in the right direction?
No, that's all. I have the same problem that just listen to. But I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. What I try to do now, I mean, I have the same problem as you did because there's so many podcasts you can listen to, and they all say different things, and which are all good. But you just, how do you implement all of them at one time, right? It's hard.
Yeah.
So I've been actually listening to, and so I've been listening to the same podcast over and over and over again until I get it right. I think it's
Mm.
been working for me. Like I know this one because yeah, because when you listen the first time, you're like, wow, it's awesome. But then you kind of forget it. But then I do it again, and I'm like, wow, actually, it makes sense. So I kind of like listen to it's like I'm studying for an exam, right? Like I find a
Yeah.
really good podcast and then just listen to it. Like this one by Ed Milet that I learned so much about and I'm trying to implement. It's like there's one thing his guest said was when you take notes, you should have two columns. Okay. Like on the left side, you should write down the notes, of course, what it is, whatever that he said, right? On the right side is your imagination. Like, how is that gonna help you now? Like, how can you implement it? Like, what part of your
Hmm.
life can you implement it now? So left side is the notes, right side is like how you could do it, right? So since then, dude, I always have my journal with me everywhere that I go, right? I have my journal with me. It's also good because now I have some paperwork I need to fill out that I'll do because I have my journal. Um, so this is great. So like what I'm doing right now is actually bringing my journal everywhere. Like for example, this is one notes that I did. Like he said, leadership equals influence, right? Like if you want to be a good leader, you need to influence more people. So then I said, like,
Hmm.
how can I do this? So I said I will text 10 people on social media every day, right? So like
Mm.
there's so many things that I think I knew I learned this the first time I watched it, but I didn't really do anything with it. But I think that my third or fourth time now I'm like actually doing it, right? So
Taking the
I'm
action
gonna try out
steps.
this thing where like yeah, I'm gonna try out this thing where I'm gonna pick one podcast I really enjoyed, and I'm gonna watch this over and over again until I get it right, exactly everything that he said
So who
before I
was the
go to the
guest
room.
on that Ed Milet podcast? Was it Jim Quick?
Yes, Jim Quick. It was Jim Quick.
Yeah.
Yes, it's awesome. It was awesome
Um,
when he talked about brain. Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
yeah. Did I tell you that I met Ed Milet?
You did? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, it's a great time.
Where
It
did
was
you meet
cool.
him?
I'll down at a book signing. I'll tell you about it at a later time. It's pretty cool.
That's so funny.
Great guy. He's awesome. So I do want to be conscious of how much time, and I want to share. I want you to kind of share what do you got going on. Are you diving deeper into real estate right now? Are you looking to grow the coaching business? Where's your like main focus right now?
S- So both for sure, like the chess and the real
Okay.
estate. I mean, if I had to prioritize one, I'm prioritizing real estate a little more, because chess is, we have coaches, it's more kind of like set. It's like I'm like we have camps running right now, and I'm not even there, right? So like
Hmm.
it's going well. It has some systems in place, and it's running. Of course, I'm still working on expanding it. I mean, if I don't do anything, it'll go the way it is, and at some point it will just die down. So of course I'm focusing on it, but I would say I'm 60% into real estate and 40% into chess, because real estate is new. I'm only like 6 7 months in, so there's still a lot of
Hmm.
things I need to set up and reaching out to clients and closing all these deals. So like for me, I'm not fully established yet in real estate as much as I am in chess. So
Hmm.
I'm focused a little more on real estate, just to tell everybody that I am a real estate agent. I can help you find your place and help you invest, which I focus more on the investment side, like
Hmm.
investing in buying properties, renting it out, like, how can you make money with it? What's the benefit? And so that's where I'm focused a little more than on chess. But the goal is like we're chess. We have 4 locations now, which is doing great. We want to completely get them packed and then go to other towns. We have other towns in mind that we're gonna expand to in Connecticut, and then
Hmm.
hopefully we want to go to New York. New York City has the is I would say the city of chess. Like New York City has most chess in the world, right? There's already so many chess clubs there. There's so many things, so many, almost every kid in schools play chess there competitively, not just play for fun, competitive chess. So that's where we want to get into eventually. And I think we could, like, I'm not worried about competition because I know that we're not just teaching chess. That's the thing. Everybody out in New York City, I know all the clubs, all the people that do it, they just do chess. They teach them chess. But we're so different. Like we're about making it fun and like mentoring these kids, right? And
Yeah.
like we barely lose kids. The only way we lose kids if they get too old and they want to do like sports, right? Like
Hmm.
I barely get phone calls saying that, hey, I hate your program and I'm not coming back.
You said barely.
But yeah, barely, yeah. There might be like one or two here and there, but it's still, barely. I can't tell you the last time that happened.
Yeah.
So that's a goal. Go to New York City. Real estate. I want to keep buying properties. So real estate is simple. Any money I get is just going to go right back to real estate as me buying properties. So
Hmm.
just expand on my number of properties I have to rent out, and then just build the chest.
So, dude, I know kind of cutting it close here, and I want to make sure that people know how to contact you. So, where do people follow you, find you? What if they want to reach out for real estate? What if they want to reach out for chess? Same place or what? How do people find you?
Yeah. So I have a good Instagram. Instagram name is Jithu underscore chess estate, like real estate. Jithu underscore chess
Mhm.
estate. Or you can call me 475-988-0414. It's my business line, and you can call me anytime and or text me on Instagram.
Awesome, appreciate that. And, dude, so gotta gotta boil it down, man.
Yep.
If you were your younger self and you were looking to be a real estate, or if you're looking at just entrepreneur in general, what would be your number one tip for surviving this side hustle and becoming a success?
I think everybody tells you find your passion, and I would say this. I think a lot of people find their passion, but then they caught up in the financial. They're like, oh, I'm not making any money in this. I'm going to quit. I would just say forget about money and just do what you think is right. Because you're whatever I can pretty much guarantee you whatever you're gonna be succeeding in, like whatever that field, real estate, chess, you're probably not gonna make any money in the beginning. If you do, then you probably got lucky, or you might be just working for somebody else. But most of the time that I know of, they all struggle, right? Everybody struggles. This is not an easy run. If it was an easy run, everybody else will do it, right? And the other main thing is that I always want to say is surround yourself with people that you want to be. I think that's important. And I could tell you, like, I live in India, and I told you the difference between the different mindset in Bristol versus Weston. It's huge, right? I think it's
Mhm.
huge that, and I'm somebody that had all that food stamps and all that free stuff that you will have. But I think those stuff, I was just talking to my friend about it, like the food stamp and like the free house section 8, whatever you have. Um, it's all awesome, but the problem is if you don't do something to improve your life, you're always going to be like that. And
Mhm.
if you will never get out of that jail, right? I think you were stuck there. And I'm so glad I moved out uh, from Bristol and I'm here because I don't think the same. I know for a fact if I lived I love Bristol. All right, I think it's one of the greatest cities, and I'm so grateful because that's where I came in. But I know I won't be able to have all the success I have right now if I just do stuff in Bristol.
Mm.
Like I had to make that move, like moving out and then not being comfortable, right? Like just I moved out of my parents' house and I lived myself. I didn't know anybody here, right? So I could, but the only thing I know, I was gonna surround myself with people that I want to be,
Mm.
and it helped me a lot along the way.
Dude, that was fire. And I appreciate everything, man. You shared a lot about making sure you surround yourself with great people, get yourself in a better environment, about the importance on the morning routine and making sure that you are doing all these different things. And dude, you're huge inspiration. And again, thank you so much for coming on. And I would love to have you back on the show again down the road. So we'll definitely have to set that up.
It's my
Until
pleasure,
then,
man.
dude,
You're doing great things too.
thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll talk again soon, dude. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.